Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00. This is my Lore and Theories video series. In this episode, we try to answer what the ruins on Delta Halo really are, and why they are so out of place. The Halo rings are ultra-sophisticated 10,000 kilometer diameter constructs of Forerunner design and capable of destroying all sentient life within the galaxy. It may be an isolated incident, but for constructs as advanced as they are, why does Installation 05, and likely others, have what appear to be ancient ruins amongst the more pristine Forerunner architecture? On the level Delta Halo, some of the first structures we come into contact with are ruins. They have similar architecture to the other Forerunner structures, but otherwise lack the high polished metallic finish we are accustomed to. Why? Well, Forerunner history goes back nearly 15 million years to their first seeding by the precursors. 10 million years ago, the Forerunners were denied the mantle of responsibility by the precursors, marking the beginning of the Forerunner Precursor War. One would assume that by the time this happened, the Forerunners, having 5 million years of evolution and technological innovation, were already capable of significant technologies, meaning their equivalent Stone Age was a far-flung memory. But these stone structures are not as simple as they appear. In the book trilogy following Kilo 5, some ancient Forerunner ruins on Shieldworld Trevelyan, Sanghelios and Hesturos are described, and it is revealed they contain teleportation devices, or rather translocation portals, slip-space doorways that enable beings to travel the huge distances between locations almost instantly. They are built so seamlessly into the stone structures that they are easily missed and can be activated and used in spite of their ancient appearance. As humans, we look upon the pyramids with reverence. Stones fitted so closely that a sheet of paper can't be passed between them. Massive multi-ton blocks quarried, moved and assembled by humans only 2,500 years ago. It is said by many that we wouldn't be able to match this precision, size and scope of such a creation within the 85-year time span that they were apparently built in. Personally, I disagree, but that's a different debate. Now scale that up, the Forerunners' ancestors may have created these structures and their translocation portals such a long time ago that they are now also held in a degree of reverence, hence building newer structures around them to protect them. It's highly likely that the full extent of where the translocation portals actually go, or others they are connected to, is not fully understood by the generation of Forerunners responsible for building the newer structures. As such, they would preserve them and evidently move them from their original location for perhaps future study. The builder race of the Forerunners had a particular interest in ancient Forerunner technology. Builders were drawn to Forerunners' ancient pasts, with some believing that Forerunners had long earlier possessed superior technologies and sought to recreate this past greatness with their technological achievements. Such beliefs were also the basis of elements in the rituals of the secret societies that existed within the builder race. These rituals had traces of Forerunners' pasts beyond their recorded history, including symbols based upon designs of 10 million year old warships which had otherwise long since been forgotten. Is it a coincidence that the Halo rings are builder constructs? Is it a coincidence that they are protected within the newer structures, almost revered? It still doesn't quite feel right. It does add a bit of depth to Halo 2 if you think that all this time there were dozens of portals to undiscovered Forerunner locations across the galaxy right there as you make your way towards the Prophet of Regret. Imagine revisiting Delta Halo in a future game, ideally without the flood infection, and perhaps finding these portals, or even going through a portal at a different location and coming out on Delta Halo in those places that we've been before, finding new purpose and new meaning to the environments that we had once killed a lot of Covenant in. It'd be interesting to explore. But where would their original location have been? Argument could be made that the original Forerunner homeworld would have been their original location, but with the release of Halo 6's trailer, a new possibility arises. Zeta Halo has ruins and carvings upon it which likely were created by or for the ancient humans that either once lived or still live upon the ring. The fact these ruins degrade or weather separate them from the newer Forerunner structures, so does this indicate a more ancient Forerunner constructor? Or more ancient than that? There wasn't much the Forerunners held in high enough regard to revere as near religious precedents other than their own history. A highly egotistical race, to be sure, so the very fact that these ruins even exist on a halo and are being preserved and protected, and evidently don't belong on a halo ring, leads me to believe that they are definitely Forerunner in origin, as most everything else wouldn't be given such protection. But their difference in material also denotes a significantly different and likely much, much older original constructor, even with the built-in translocation portals. The ring's inner surfaces are habitable due to the insistence of the librarian to allow species to be indexed and preserved should the halo array need to be fired. Is it a possibility that the surface of each of the rings could have been translocation portals to and from the homeworlds of indexed species? The ruins on Hesturus lead to the shield world Trevelyan, and so the ruins on Sanghelios may lead to a different facility. The ruins on Delta Halo may lead to the homeworld of another species, maybe even an aquatic species if you consider that some of the ruins are underwater. It doesn't make much sense that Forerunners would construct or move ancient ruins to a halo and then submerge them in water. So the ruins on Zeta Halo could lead to Earth. Is that how humanity ended up there in Halo 6? Given that the major population centres, particularly Earth, had been technologically disabled, it is likely other Forerunner structures are still active after this event. Is this more ancient translocation array a contingency plan laid out millennia before by our ancestors and cooperating Forerunner builders and life workers? Did the librarian see all of this coming? She laid the plans for Chief, his armour and Cortana. Did she see the need for all three of them up to the events of 2557, but knew that after this, the Created would arise? And Chief and the rest of humanity would need a different way to bring the fight to Cortana? How far does the librarian's prudent planning go? It does partially answer why these devices were not simply decommissioned and replaced by newer versions, because the older ones may be more resistant to the Guardian's EMPs. It also partially answers what these relics are and what their possible purpose is, but there is still much left to discover, I'm sure. One thing is for certain: if they are ancient relics that are being preserved on the rings, any new replacements of the rings will not have these relics, and whatever other mysteries they contain will eventually be lost forever. Thanks for watching. Stick your comments down below and I look forward to what you have to say. If you're new to the channel and like lore theories and Halo technology being analysed at insane levels of detail, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so next time I put a video out you're told the second it hits the shelves. I want to thank the Halo community over at Mino for their support of the channel and my rambling blog post over there. If you're not already a member, strongly recommend it, jump aboard, link is in the description. Also, if you really like the channel, consider popping over to Patreon and give whatever you can over there. It massively helps me out and frees up more time for me to put into this Halo content and drives towards an ultimate goal that I'm sure you'll love. More details on that in the near future. Thanks again everyone, now go rest your brains.